Forward, forward, from here, my knees. Should be able to go a little bit further, side to side.
Why? Why you want?
And my horse stance, stretch out my back a little bit.
This one,
Push,
when you do look
say,
here,
knees.
just switch to third, third.
Say,
When you wear, you can get it, especially today.
and then run quickly.
She
One,
can
right to my legs.
Just
Next
one
time,
leg. You do better than
say,
and you
goes, there you go.
Okay,
Got
so
my
yes,
outside, go. Got my knees, good.
you know,
And
yes, sir. Go, sir.
yeah, hungry. Go up your leg. Got my toes, grab my knee. Straight up.
Oh, you hold. I'll get right.
Good.
Good. See you next week. Right.
Boom. Say, goes.
Inhale, young guy.
Outside.
Inhale, and yes,
Say,
even if
sales.
first time when you get new play, excitation.
Toes,
That's why they
and legs straight.
go
My leg is my knee. Straight, don't let bend, don't lean back.
people need to talk about that.
And
Goes.
goes.
You talk about that, so we can what you really need can make it
And
social.
the fighting chance. Now, what I'd like us to work on also is our Audubon's my big kick. We can start just 5 times. Basic wheel kick, basic fighting stance. My back leg kicks, very important when I spin you. Arms come in, and my head on the first verge. So arms out one, arms in, move twist. On,
Come to me,
go,
down there, like you're sitting on.
sit,
We can go.
sit,
Today.
and sit. Good. And on the right, same thing. Spin, hands in, spin faster. On, go,
And also see regular press, it's okay. Regular press, we force regular press.
sit. Make sure our body weight is forward because it's back. Two things happen. One, I spin back like this, or I might also spin on my heel. It's not so you want to do it on my foot. Same. We're going to do 2 feet this way. And just like you, no jumping wheel. Hands up. Spin, front in, heels up. Big knee 1, face on straight ahead. 2, down, wheel kick. Okay. 3 times, side. On. Knee, knee. Go. Oh, I'm sorry. On. Go. 3 times, other side as well. Don't get too dizzy. On.
Last week, the
Go.
alone class was really good. For regular class, out of control. Really. So,
Careful your balance, Connor.
Always, whenever I'm filming my wheel kick, my body weight's forward. Yeah. So, you guys can't kick it, but this is your target. Hands come in. 1, 2. 3. Always looking. Make sure I don't get too dizzy. If I do like 20 kicks, I got 1 target. So, hands up, front stance. This is your target. And go, Connor. 2. Good. Try not to slowly fade off to the side. Body in 1 spot. Right where I started. Hands, go. Good. Now it's nice to do okay. More. That side. Good. Don't do the airplane. Arms in. Last one, the side. Spin, arms in. Good. And 3 times, other side as well. Head. Good. Look. Go. Yes. All right, one more. All right, now, Connor, we have our white stripe coming up next. So, you have them, please. Tonfa. Yes, please grab the tonfa.
Oh, Rashad Jamal, I love seeing your names. You know what I like more than seeing your name? Seeing your martial arts. Sometimes your camera works, sometimes it doesn't, right? Okay, so when we're doing our Audubon, right? Very similar to what we do with our top hook kick, right? So when I'm here, I'm not going to put that foot down. And that's just like a roundhouse kick, wheel kick, right? So when I do my Audubon, I want the same kind of motion where this knee comes up. Then I'm going to jump that switch, okay? So we want to make sure that we're combining a little bit of aerial movement with our wheel kick as well. Connor, I saw your jump was really the biggest on what would equate to that roundhouse kick movement, right? So your jump really big right there, landing, and then throwing your wheel kick. Make sure that you're just popping your knee up as you're coming around. One, popping your knee up for the roundhouse kick, and then jump your switch for your wheel kick. So work on changing your timing for that movement. One, yeah, and then jump into that wheel kick. Jump there. Yes, good. I don't care if you fell down. That timing was correct. Now work on the balance part of it as well. Yeah?
All right, so first one's our positioning foot. If I flip outside, I'm finishing my circle. I still want to go outside. So if I just take out this hammer skill, it's just outside flip. We're only going to do 5 each. In, up, finish by going in, out, up, back in. Sit, hit, sit, sit, good, good, oh, race now, go. I'm going to say I won just because you're not here for it. Okay. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do our inside foot. When I'm using this, I already told you guys earlier this week, you can get a lot of power just by swinging my arm. I get as much as I can, almost like my each stance. Turn and hit. Biggest thing, catching it against my forearm, not here, not here, out, press hard, right against my arm. 3 times inside, 1, go, hit, hit, sit, sit. Good, tell me 4, Connor, go. Oh yes, sir, nice and sweet. Whoa. That's when we have our inside foot. It's like a back fist. So if I just drop my pump up, add my back fist go. Right hand first, 1, go, sit, hit, that's it. That's it. Hit 4 on your own, go. Good. And despite swinging pretty fast, I can't hit hard. I still want to put power in it as well. Whenever I'm throwing my hit. Now we're going to use 6 times. Outside, inside, back, outside, inside. Right. 1, 2. Catch both against your arm. Go. Sit. Hit. Sit. Sit. 1 more. Go. Good. Use your legs. Push off one leg to the other. Good. Next one's my overhand foot. And I told you before, it's kind of hard just to flip it from here. So we let go a little bit. Let it go behind us. And like we're going to cast the fishing line. Just toss it in front, pull it back. Punt. Oh.
Fix your stance, Connor.
Hit. 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 Other side. On. Go. Sit. Hit. That's it. Now both hands. On. Both hands out. Maximum reach. And back. Go. Sit. Hit. Sit. Sit. There we go. Jody. That's it for that one. Next one, we're doing our figure 8 scale. Now we're going to start with it just long, right? We're going to start with it long and just hit it down. 1. Turn my hand over like a middle block. 2. Turn it back. Flip in. So my first skill is my overhand, and then 1, 2, 3. But to make it not look as robotic as this, I just loosen my grip a little bit. This is essentially just figure 8, same thing I'm going to use with my song drum. We're going to use one hand only, 5 times. Right? 1, 2, catch, 3. Go, 2, 3. Set. 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 Good. Other side. 1, 2, down. Go. Set. Set. Sit. Good. Now, the reason that I like to do only 3, 1, 2, 3 is you can't keep going for a really long time, but most of the time what happens is your hand ends up slipping down unless you're really focused on your ring finger and your little finger, holding it in place while you're doing it. Even then, a little bit. Now, Karn, you've done a really nice job with that this week. Try both hands, same time. 1, 2, 3. Go. Sit. 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 Yep. Do it. Oh. Yo.
Excellent, Connor. Very good.
Nice job. Next one, we're going to use our sweeping skill. So, if I were to do this skill without my tonfa, yes, it's like a hammer fist or in reverse knife knee. So if I use my bag, biggest thing here, even if I hit, I want to keep it against my arm. 1, 2. Our first one, this is referred to as our short sweep because in my tonfa, not very long. Uh-oh. 1, 2, go. Set. Extend. Hit. Sit. Sit. Yep. Good. Oh. Go.
Yeah, he's kind of windshield wiping.
All right, so these are not, I'm not going to be swinging here. I'm using the skill, same way I use my hammer fist. You don't swing with my hammer fist. My circle's going to cut me. I'm using a block. 1, my other hand, gripping in, into that temple, and that. So not swinging my weapon. 1, 2, 1, 2, back. 1, 2, back.
So when we did tonal form 3, if you think about the sequence at the very beginning of section 3, we bring our feet together and then we high block and then we slide out. Okay, so that's nice because this movement is clearly a high block. Then the following one is that sweep movement. So you can see here, and both side to side, that movement versus kind of swinging them like this. Okay, so try to time it that way. Think about differentiating your line.
We're going to try a couple more, but this time we are going to go long as well. So you'd be able to be short and long. Okay. 1. Go. Sit.
This is much cleaner, Connor. It's much better. Pull it back at the end.
That's it. Sit. Go. Good. Oh. Go.
Okay, so especially with the long sweep, you see here, where your instructor hits the bag, if you sweep it side to side, it's just gonna wrench right out of his grip right here. Okay, maybe you got that. Yeah, so he hits like this, boom, it comes open. But if you cut back and across with the tonfa, it will not pull out of your hand. So we have to think about it like this was a serrated edge, okay, like a bread knife, okay? You want to cut with that edge instead of just smacking with the tonfa. Now, the tonfa does not have a serrated edge, but you can still think about hitting and pulling back and across with an impact on the weapon, okay? So that's why that pulling movement is really important, especially in the long sweep.
All right, next one we're gonna practice our jabs. Now for my horse stance, we have a pattern, we go low, middle, high, high, middle, and low. Biggest thing when I'm doing these, I'm actually touching the target. Don't want it to pop off my arm. I don't want to lose control of my weapon. I want to make sure that I'm pushing down on my top foot, that it's pushing up against my arm. Hold on nice and tightly. 60 punches total. 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go. Hit. Hit. Sit. Sit. Go. Go. Out. Out. Go. Good. Next one, we have the same version, but we have to do them long. This just gives me a little bit extra reach. But it also makes it harder for me to hold it against my arm because I don't have as much on my arm. So if you do have something like a heavy bag, definitely practice your jabs with it long and short. We're only going to do 5 of these, same pattern, but we're going to do it with stepping now too. Take your leg, pump, go, set, hit, sit, and hold it. We have one more skill. It's going to be our hammer skill. Hammer skill is exactly like triangle striking. I don't swing these. I still want hit. 1, hit, 2. Not swinging. 1, 2. Imagine that there's a nail. You hit it twice. You're in my comfort. Maybe that's why I call it hammer skill. Ready? 1, 2. Go. Hit. Hit. Hit hard and corner. Not like this. That's it. Here we go. Do it. Oh. Go. And so that's it for our triangle striking skills. We have 2 more skills with our hammer, and these both come in beginning of form 3. Sending. All right. Anyways, we're going to practice the skill. Now with my overhand, my descending, one of the biggest things we want to make sure is that we're not coming over our shoulders. Not coming over my shoulder, just like Jonan, my sword skill. We come straight down our center line, past our head like we have a sword mohawk, like we had a tonfa mohawk. Ready? We're going to do 5, 1, go, sit, hit, sit, sit, here we go, here we go, oh, go, and other one is just inverse of that. We go ascending. Same thing, but I don't want to swing at my angle. You come straight up. Like, 1, go, sit, hit, sit, sit, Go. And on it. And shake out your hands, shake out your fingers, practicing all those skills at a high level. That's your grip strength.
Yeah, you should see also the tonfa line and the sword line are exactly the same. What his hands are doing with the tonfa are the same thing that my hands are doing with the sword. So you don't need a different technique. Okay, you can high block and uppercut, empty hand style, the exact same way. Okay, you don't have to apply. Oh, this is my sword, so I need a different set of skills. Plus, my tonfa, I need a different set of skills. The same movements should be universally applicable. Okay, so check it, Connor. Come to sleep out of your eye, buddy. Face your instructor. Down.
Yep.
All right, good. And then set aside your tonfa. All right, so we have up until this point for this block. Last week we talked a little bit about your initial line in your black belt credo that I possess honor, fearing not the scrutiny of others. Okay, so I know I can't hear you well, but let's have a little bit of repetition here. You guys repeat after me. Say, I possess honor, fearing not the scrutiny of others. That means that we always do what we feel is right, what is honorable, regardless of whether or not we are on our own or someone is watching us. So no matter what, we are always going to be the same person. We have integrity. We are complete. We are whole all the way through. We don't change just because somebody's there, somebody's not. Okay. Now that's going to blend into confidence. We're going to discuss that at length coming up. Right now, we're going to at least touch base on the second line for which you guys are accountable, which is I strive to grow through learning my limitations. You say, I strive to grow through learning my limitations. Okay, good. One more time. I strive to grow, learning my limitations. The only way that we're going to grow, the only way that we're going to get better is if we find out the things in which we are not very good. Okay? If you're only ever doing the things in which you are already accomplished, there's no real room for growth there. But most people enjoy that. They feel comfortable there. So my challenge for you guys is to be open and to be receptive when people point out to you the things that are actually your weaknesses. If you hear somebody tell you you're not very good at that, that should be the best thing that you can hear. Because that is something you know that you can address, and something that you know that you can improve upon. Otherwise, you're just kind of hiding from that. And most people, that's their choice. They choose to deny that. Oh, I don't have any weaknesses. That's impossible. It's impossible. Everybody does. The only way that we grow, the only way that we can rapidly evolve is if we can find those weaknesses and readily address them. The more we bury them or the more people conceal them from us, it's like they're doing us a disservice. Someone should feel comfortable to tell you, hey, you need to work a little bit on X, Y, Z. So when I told you today, Connor, for example, that you needed to change the jumping timing in your autobahn, you didn't have any kind of negative reaction to that. You recognized that that was the way that you were going to improve your skill. So martial arts teaches us how to do that with our technique. The most important thing that we can do is apply that same kind of learning and that same attitude about self-improvement outside of martial arts as well. So when someone tells you that you have a character flaw, or that you have something that you need to work on, as far as for me, yesterday I came in for class and my dad met me because my son had his birthday and he wanted to give me the card so I could then relay it to my son. I was running a little bit late and he was critical of me, said, hey, you have a habit of being less than punctual. So my initial reaction is, oh, hey, I do my best to get here as soon as I can, but really what I need to do is take that to heart, address that. The only way for me to really get better at it, Connor, is to recognize it, appreciate that, and attack it. So we need to be open to those criticisms. That's how you're going to learn how to grow as an individual. Most of the time, though, people hear criticism, they go the other way. They deny it, or they just ignore it. They try to modify it or work around it. Don't work around it. Recognize that as an opportunity for growth. If you attack it, and if you get better, you're going to get that strong feeling of growth like you do in your martial arts. You're going to know you're doing better. So last thing we're going to do today is just finish up one more time. Repeat after me. Say, I strive to grow. Do you have a question, Connor? All right. Through learning my limitations. Good. So we're going to unmute you, sir. Sean as well. If you guys have something too, we can unmute you guys as well.
I strive to grow, learning my limitations, sir.
Can you give me an example where someone has pointed out one of your limitations outside of martial arts, and you felt like you did a good job accepting that criticism?
Yes, sir.
Example.
Oh, sorry. I remember one time in lacrosse that happened.
That's good in sports. That's called being coachable. Being able to respond to a coach. Some people, they have a tendency, oh, I already know that. Oh, I know. Oh, I know. That's not being coachable. That's not attempting to address your limitation, but rather attempting to deny it. So I want to point out that there are 4 things that you can do when someone points out your limitation, Connor. And I want to see if you can remember these. Rashad, tomorrow, see if you can remember these too. Number 1 is you can deny it. People tend to do. That tends to be the pervasive attitude. Number 1, you hear about your limitations. Oh, that's not my limitation. Okay.
So you
number
can
1,
deny.
Number 2, you can appreciate it, recognize it, and you can try to improve upon it.
Okay.
That's the strongest. That's the strength. That's what we should try to do. The first one. The third thing is you can try to just work around it. You can recognize it, but instead of trying to improve it, you can just kind of ignore it and not really do anything to try to fix it. And while that does enable you to recognize that you have that weakness, you still, in my opinion, should try to address that. And the fourth and final thing you can do is you can modify what your goals are. So if you're not really good at, let's just stick with martial arts as our example. Let's say you're not really good at jump kicks. And you just, oh, you know what? I don't care about jump kicks anymore. I'm going to focus on form. That's an example of modifying your goal and changing your plan. But that requires a high degree of flexibility. And martial arts is great because there are a lot of different options of areas that you can focus on. But if we're talking about like your career and you want to be a teacher, but you're not really good at public speaking, and someone tells you, oh, or you recognize, I'm not very good at public speaking, it might be difficult for you to transition away from that goal of being a teacher. Find another way to do it. So, number 1, you can deny it. Number 2, you can accept it and address it. Number 3, you can accept it and ignore it. And number 4, you can change your goal. You can change the trajectory. You can change where you're headed. You can remember all 4 of those? Because invariably, you're going to model one of those behaviors when you respond to a limitation and someone points it out. So try to keep those in mind, recognizing yourself which one to do. And we want to try to do the second one, where we recognize our limitations, act them, try to build them in. That's how we're going to grow. That's how we're going to rapidly evolve. And that's how we're going to become stronger, better people. Okay? Ready, John? Ready up? Okay. Ready up? Up. Next flag. Okay. Yeah. Jump. Kick. On up. Okay, you guys, good job today. Fight strike testing. We're not going to do that next week because that's Thanksgiving. But the following week, that's when we're going to hit it. So make sure you practice next week. Bye, Connor. Bye, Rashad.